This is a podcast from Rover.
Hi, I'm Dayna, a former TV presenter and radio host. But to Luca and Darcy, I'm known as... Mom! Maybe one day they'll realise I used to be cool. Being a mum has been my greatest joy and biggest headache. It's taken me to playgroups and parent gatherings, mainly for cake and coffee, but also to meet parents and swap stories, which reminded me I'm not alone and the things we face are normal. And that's what this podcast, Parents We've Met, is all about.
Well, every Pixar animated movie, I find myself at the end, it's always some heartfelt story about parents. Oh, geez, like the other day, my kids are looking at like, are you crying at this thing? I'm like, yeah, I'm crying, all right. Just sit here in the movies for a bit longer, guys, before the lights get on.
I don't think we're meant to do this parent gig alone, and I knew I needed a bit of a coach to help me along the way. And that's where Jenny comes in.
Oh boy, I think so.
A little bit more faith, Jenny. I read Jenny's book, KFC, which at first I thought was going to be a mean recipe, but instead I found what I was really needing. I needed to know how to be kind, firm and calm. Yes, another serving of that. Thanks, Jenny.
Every parent has their own story and their own struggles, so join us as we chat through the magic and mess of this parenting gig.
Ka pai, Jenny. Welcome to Parents We've Met. In this episode, we hear from a dad who we really admire and who you might also happen to know and love too. Ben Boyce is a bit of a New Zealand radio and TV legend, and he's been making people laugh for years. We reckon he might have been the king of dad jokes and pranks before he became a dad himself. Alongside his busy media job, Ben is doing the tough but wonderful job of raising two kids alongside his wife Amanda. That's your intro, Ben.
I see you got the script I sent you. It's calling me. I don't think anyone's ever called me a legend before, but thank you very much for that.
Really? You got an award, and it was for the funniest person on TV. And I'm like, that is that's a lot of pressure.
Shouldn't have happened, to be honest. It shouldn't have happened, but it's nice. It's nice. I mean, those things probably don't mean anything to anyone outside of the industry or anything, but it's nice every now and again to be recognised. You're actually talking about being recognised. I was thinking about that on the way over here with parenting stories. And, you know, the job that I've been lucky enough to do does, you know, now and again people do recognise you, but we've got a big fluffy white dog, Bo, Samoyed dog, very cute dog. And just after our TV show got cancelled, Jono and Ben were walking him and some lady came up and said, can I get a photo with the dog? And I was like, yeah, that's fine. And so I sort of stood away with the lead trying to get out of the photo. So just her and the dog.
Yeah.
And as she walked away, Indy, my daughter, who must have been about 7 or 8 at the time, just put her hand almost patronisingly on my shoulder and said, remember when people used to get photos of you, Dad? I was like, oh, thanks, Indy. That was it was a good levelling moment from a kid.
Kids do that. I love it. They keep it real.
They definitely do. But as you say, you go from, the good thing about being a dad, you go from jokes that have been bad jokes to dad jokes. So I kind of, it's good for me now.
Actually, being a parenting podcast, we should probably start with getting a bit of idea of your family. So can you give us a bit of a age and stage and who's in your whānau?
Yeah, sure. So my wife, Amanda, so we met many years ago. We were doing radio. I was writing ads. I wrote Novus, Show Us Your Crack. That was probably the only ad that I ever wrote that's still around. She's now a teacher, which is actually really awesome because the kids are getting to that stage now where I probably can't help them with the maths homework. It's getting too hard for me. So she's really awesome at that. Indy is the youngest. She's 11 and Sienna's 13, and first year of high school for Sienna and first year of intermediate for Indy. So they're at, every summer. It's such a cliche. It goes so fast. Everyone says it goes fast and you just want to freeze time and you can't. But every new stage is just awesome. Even though it's a real big step up, I think, from primary to intermediate and intermediate to high school. And but yeah, they're both awesome. So proud of them, and just how they are, just they're their own people, their own unique people, and just their own personalities. It's pretty cool. Even though they've grown up in the same house, same parents. It's funny how kids can be the same in a lot of ways, but very different with their personalities.
Yeah,
which is cool. Andy's very. Jono, who I work with, always calls Indy like a 55-year-old woman in an 11-year-old body because she loves pot plants, she loves candles, she does self-care Sundays where she's like, I have a bath, I read a book, and I do this thing to prepare myself for the week. She loves being organised with a Google Doc. We went to Santa a few years ago and Santa was like, what would you like for Christmas? She's like, I've got a Google Doc. I've got it all on a list, you know. So and Sandra's looking at me at the mall like, what's she talking about? Yeah, so that's Indy, which I love. She's very organised and just awesome like that. And then, she'll put herself to bed if she's watching a movie with us on a Friday night and she's like, it's late, I want to go to bed. And you're like, it's Friday night. She's like, I'm tired, which is awesome. And then Sienna's just so bubbly, and not that Indy's not bubbly, but she's a real show person. She loves to be the centre of attention and so good in a room with people and talking to people and kind of acting, which is kind of cool that you've got these unique sort of personalities out of these two people. It's cool.
Yeah, I love how you're kind of landing on just noticing how different you girls are, and accepting that. And kids just want to be have that sort of grounding of mum and dad have noticed, my parents have noticed what I'm like and what I don't like, and kind of let them run with that.
And what their passion is, I guess, as well too, is finding out what they like and what gets, what they're into, and the things that the things that we'll do together. The three of us or the four of us as a family. But there's also things that you're like, oh, this is India and I will do this thing, or Sienna and I will do this thing, because that's what they enjoy, and trying to give them, be with them and try and support them on the things that they really like to do. But it's very sort of and the things that, as a parent, that work for one doesn't work for the other. So that's been a real learning curve, I guess, that every kid is different.
Beautiful. Hey, Ben, when the coaches do a coaching session, we ask parents kind of a big question. We frame it as
what is it?
we frame it as what's your dream for your kids?
Right.
When they leave home, whatever age that is, what would you like to see? How would they have grown and developed?
That's a big question.
So, imagine your girls as 18-year-olds or more. What would you like to see by then?
I'm not looking forward to that day, because you do, as I said before, you do want to freeze time, and I love everything about them, and being with them and all that stuff. But they grow up, and that's going to happen. I guess you hope that you have played a big part in sort of helping them to kind of have an idea of who they want to be, what their passions are, what their dreams are, and at the same time also be just lovely, caring people in society. And I'm proud of them now, and I'm sure I'll be proud of them then. And at the same time, I don't want that day to come. My wife always gives me grief because I do work silly hours from time to time, and when I do have time off, I want to be with the family, I want to be with the kids. She's like, we could go on a holiday, the two of us. I'm like, what about the kids? Why can't the kids come? She's like, we can't have a holiday, or we can't have a weekend away or a night away without the kids. So I'm always, because I know that it's not gonna, someone said once, I think you get maybe 18 summers or something with your kids, when they're living at home. And I keep saying that to kids. I'm like, you're not going to want to hang out with me. And they're like, yeah, we will. But, eventually that won't happen, And then they do love hanging out with their friends and doing sleepovers or hanging out at the mall and things. And you're like, and that will happen. And then as a parent, you can't hold on forever. But it's at the same time you want to, I guess, in a lot of ways.
I'm going to try as long as possible.
I think as well, too. Yeah. Especially in the teenage years, I'm like, we'll just lock the door.
I know. I'm like, we need to start saving. We need a pool at our house. We want all the, the kids to come to our place. It's going to be the fun place to be.
Be the place, yeah. Exactly. It's a really good theory. Yeah, we'll try and implement that one. Particularly the teenage years are just, with tween to teen they're just starting in our household.
I've got a 6-year-old, almost 6-year-old, and a 3-year-old, and those years I know they're going to come fast, but I'm like, teenage years. I've got a little bit more time. Glad to hear.
It'll sneak up on you. Everyone says that, and you're like, whatever, but it does. It definitely does.
So I've got a bit of a picture of your family now, and I find with parenting, you're making it up as you go. You're learning a lot, but also quite often you lean on to how you were parented. So, I mean, I look at you and you're a fun guy. You like to push the limits sometimes with some of your pranks and stuff. You like to have a laugh and make people laugh. Where do you get that from? Is that from a particular parent?
I think it's probably like a lot of kids in some ways. You are kind of a mix of your parents. So I definitely, my dad's, he's a really good talker. He loves a speech, or he used to carry in his wallet when I was a kid. He'd carry a list of 100 songs he could play on guitar. And so you knew if you're at someone's place and Dad pulls out the guitar and a list of 100 songs, you're like, I'm sleeping on a couch at this person's place tonight until they're going to take me home at some stage. So that he loves that sort of thing. And, and also the fact that I do remember going to sports games as a kid, and he would now and again get me to take a couple of beers in my backpack because no one would check my beers to go through, so that's probably where it became a TV segment we did for a while there, trying to sneak beer in, so I probably got that from my dad as well. He's a great talker. But then from my mum, I think I probably got the fact that my mum is so bubbly and she's so lovely, and I want to try and be like her, and she wants everyone to like her. She's so fun to be around. She's always singing. She's friendly. And I do try and be like my mum in that regard, and I probably have that thing that not everyone's got in media, and I wish I didn't, where you want people to like you, and you realise that not everyone's going to like you, and Google Jono and Ben, and if you want to feel better about yourself, because there's some comments out there, from time to time that can be hard, but and that's the nature of the job you do, but you do at the same time, you want people to like you.
And often our kids are thrown into that world too, where it's really important for them to feel like they're going to be liked, and it's pretty cruel out there. So how do you navigate that one?
I guess it's a bit scary, particularly with social media and everything as well too. Social media I think is a great thing and almost like the worst thing at the same time. It's great, it's good and bad, and depending on how you navigate that. And I think for every parent, trying to work out what is okay, what you allow your kids to do, especially with device time at whatever age it is. My daughters, both of them now, they've got to intermediate, have like our old phones that for security, like when they, Sienna will take the bus to high school and stuff, but then you're like, well, I didn't give you my old phone for you to take 32 photos of your face to send to your friends on Snapchat, what level do you sort of, try and monitor and also try and trust what they're doing. And I have, there's a lot of things that they probably see that I've done over the years. They'll be like, well, you've done this. And then, why am I not allowed to do that as well? But I do, talk about, society. It's harder in some ways to make mistakes these days because things live on and things forever. So I try and sort of inflict that on, tell the girls about that. But, my parents told me things that I didn't always listen to as well. Not that they're not listening to, but it sinks in a lot more later on. But yeah, device time is another one, particularly when my job involves sometimes, social media or being on my laptop and thing. Indy, my daughter, had a great hack, I thought, the other day. We're like, no devices in the room. You're not going to have any more devices. And I walked past her room and she was folding her washing, which was great. And she had her iPad in the hallway and she's like, it's not my room. And she was watching a show. She's watching a show from the hallway. I was like, oh, you've outsmarted me there. But yeah. But it's a really interesting one to navigate, I think.
I was looking at an interview with Chris Hemsworth the other day, and he was talking about, being out with his family. Yeah. And, you're having a meal, there's tantrums, and you're so aware of all these eyes on you. Like, what are you going to do? I'm not saying that you're the equivalent, New Zealand's Chris Hemsworth. No, definitely. I wish I was from New Zealand's Chris Hemsworth, that's for sure. I think he gets a few more eyes on him than I would anyway. But have you felt the eyes on you, especially when your kids are younger and you're like trying to have a meal and they're like throwing food and you look around the room? Are people like, oh, is he going to have a laugh about it? This is really going to lose his cool? Or? I think you're probably right. Every parent probably feels those eyes on you. You walk a baby onto the plane, everyone's like, oh, this person's bringing a baby on. Yeah, but you do. There is definitely occasions where I've been out and about and the kids have... Now you look back and laugh, and I mean, you can tell stories, on here or on radio about some of the funny ones. One in particular, I think I remember when Sienna was really young, my oldest, we talked about anatomy and we're talking about things, and she didn't say much after the conversation, until we were walking through, and we were visiting family in America, walking through customs, and she just yelled out penis as we walked up to the guy who was the guy at customs. I was like, uh-oh, this is quite a serious environment, but he laughed as well. And another time as well, when we were out in town and at this sort of courtyard area, it's got these fountains, and I was looking after her out there while my wife was in a shop. And the next thing you know, she'd whipped off all her clothes and she was running through the fountains. And I was like, I was that guy chasing a young daughter around in the thing. I'm like, this is not a great look on any occasion. But it's those sort of things that happen. And I think every parent's got those stories. Even another one actually just popped into my head there where one of them was young and we were pushing them through a shop. And they must have grabbed like a drink bottle off the shelf that we didn't realise because they were in a pram. And it wasn't until we were out in the middle of the mall. I was like, uh-oh, they've got a drink bottle. That's not our drink bottle. And then so I ran back to the shop and gave it back. And the lady was lovely, but I just felt like she was like, that guy off TV just stole a drink bottle and now he's got remorse.
he's blamed it on a kid who no one saw happen, and now I'm bringing that back. So yeah, I guess that...
She's like, times are tough for this guy. I mean, just have it, mate,
I know, exactly. She almost like, get out of the shop. Yeah, so those things, I guess, maybe a few more people from time to time, do know who I am, but I think every parent feels like that, where your kid's having a tantrum and that happens. Fortunately, now it's probably me having the tantrums more than the kids as they get older.
Because, I mean, it sounds like you're a pretty fun dad, like with those stories. But, I mean, sometimes you hear about chefs, they're out there making these amazing meals, they come home and it's baked beans, or, like the builder who does these amazing jobs and he comes back and the house is falling apart. I mean, what are you like in dad mode? Are you sort of fun at home, or are you a bit more serious because you've been so fun all throughout the day?
Oh, I do feel like a little bit like I was saying before, when you do work and you like, I'm gone in the morning for the radio and you do travel a little bit, I do feel like when I do have time with the kids, I really want to make the family time something special, and I probably go overcompensate. Like we had a holiday a few weeks ago, and I think I made them do an activity. We did an activity every day, and they're not always expensive activities, but I just feel like I like that sense of like, oh, cool, we did that today. And I do sometimes feel like when you're at home, it's easier to slip into like, I just need to check that email, or I just need to do this thing, or the washing is piling up. So I do like to try and go, well, let's go to the beach, or let's go for a walk, or let's do something that you can feel, a bike ride, or something that you've done something together to kind of connect. So I do still like to having that fun and hanging out, but then there are times as well, every parent, you've got to be, put your foot down or have those conversations or talk through those things as kids, and those conversations change a lot as they get older, and the things you talk about, and you don't always get it right, but sometimes you're like, oh, we said that, we should have said that, but yeah, you try and navigate that. So you can't just be, like you say before, you can't be the person I'm on TV or radio all the time. No one want to be around me if I was like that all the time. So you do have moments where you're fun and you're out there and we're doing stuff, and you have the real moments like everyone else,
And it's lovely that you've really invested in it, Ben, because sometimes as they get to that preteen or teenage, you start to think that they don't want to spend time with you. But actually, if you just keep sort of front-footing it and making it quite natural, they do actually want to spend time with you, and they do. You might have done a few too many activities, but the fact that you are front-footing it is awesome, because it's staying in the arena.
And even just the difference of what they want to do too, again, from their personalities. It's like we did that in the holidays a while back, and it was like, what, we can choose one activity, and I think Sienna was like, I want to go to the arcade, and we're like, cool. And then Indy was like, I want to get a book out from the library, and and that's their personalities, and that's what they wanted to do, and that's what mattered to them. And it's kind of cool to go, well, we'll do both those things with them, if we're lucky enough to do it.
So noticing the different personalities of you girls, do you find it easier to relate to one more than the other?
Depending on, no, I don't think so, because they're probably they're a makeup of my wife and I, but also I feel like I can see myself in a lot of ways in both of them. Probably, I guess, with the job that I'm lucky enough to do with radio and TV and from time to time and social media, Sienna is definitely, I see a lot of her in that she's, I mean, they're both growing up with around me being on TV, when I was on TV, not for a while now. But in that sort of environment for a while, and kind of growing up around it. And we talk, my wife and I, all the time about what things we want them to be, if they're going to be part of and all that. And that conversation keeps happening now with the kids, but they've kind of been around that for a while. And Sienna in particular, the oldest, is really, I mean, that's kind of, you don't want to push them into that, but that's definitely something that she loves as performing. She's a really good actor, and I don't have many skills, and that's not me being modest. I just don't have many skills, but I can help her read lines, or do some stuff like that, and that for the acting or presenting and stuff. So I feel like we can kind of bond over those moments. She has the same agent as me, and I always get excited when I get a call. I'm like, audition, it's for Sienna. All right, I can take her to this audition. So yeah, that side of her, I bond over. Then Indy, I feel like probably the side of me that a lot of people wouldn't see is probably, I do like to be quite organised and quite being on top of stuff, and she's got that personality that I said before with the Google Docs, and I can see all that. She loves getting up. She's like, love getting up early, and we'll get this thing done, and we'll sort this, and that's really cool. And she's such a really awesome creative writer, and she's really great at editing stuff, as well as getting into her drama and stuff now as well. But she's really got that side of her. I feel like she'll be running the company, and she'll be doing all those things. So I feel like we definitely have that side of of things as well, and we can kind of bond over that and what she does as well. She's loves being early and all those sorts of things that I like to be as a person, and I was like, well, that's cool that, as I said before, she'll put herself to bed if she's tired. So I think it's kind of cool that you but not everyone would see those sides of me, I guess, in some ways.
It almost feels like she could be your agent. Like, you're we're sorted.
Oh, totally. Yeah. She's the smartest one out of all of us.
Take a good cut.
Yeah, definitely.
How do you navigate that? Because both your daughters are a bit on social media and they're, following in your footsteps a bit. And I'm sure there's a percentage that you're really proud and a percentage that's really freaked out by that. Yeah. What is the conversation with them around social media and following in your footsteps in a way to help navigate that for them?
Yeah, well, as I said before, it's not something we talk about it all the time, and it wasn't something that I feel like they have to do or anything like that. I mean, Sienna really, really does love it, and Indy will love doing stuff with us, but we'll talk about stuff if there's a potential thing we can do, and there's also times you don't want to share everything with it, so it's trying to work out what they're into. There was a time for a little bit that Indy was like, I don't know if I want to do this for a little bit. And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. No one's pushing anyone into doing it. And then she was like, a year or so after that, she was like, I want to do some more of that, So it's kind of just working out as they go through various stages as well, how much they want to be involved, if any of that. And there's other parents that won't, they have different philosophies, and you just need to kind of, I guess, work out what's right for you and what you feel is right as a family. And hopefully looking back, they'll be happy with the decisions we made. My wife and I are always talking about these things and how things could affect them, or particularly now I feel like as a parent, when I was back in the day, I was probably doing a lot more sillier stuff on TV and radio, but now you feel like, well, it's more than just me out there, Now I don't want my kids to be like, oh, your dad's, I mean, I can be the lame dad, that's fine, I'm happy to be that, but you don't want them to feel like, oh, Dad, come on, will infect their lives as well. So those things definitely weigh on your mind too as a parent. Now it's not just all about me, it's about how, my wife, my family, what I do, As you get older, you can't be that same person you were 15, 20 years ago or so.
I think we make big adjustments as parents, and I'll often say to families I'm working with that parenting is probably your biggest invitation to grow. Yeah. And you find that your kids sort of bump up into stuff, and you think, actually, I'm struggling with that, or I don't like that about myself, and you often do a bit of personal work as well. But in terms of worrying about your girls, is that something you feel you do, or Amanda worries? Is there?
I'm probably the bigger worrier in the household as well. Yeah, I think just in general, particularly going into the teenage years, I think it is every parent, but every stage. I mean, when you first, you all know, when your first child, you bring them home, you worry what you're going to do is right, how you do it. I remember that moment, just getting Sienna home from the hospital after a couple of days. We were in there and just closing that door, and it was just my wife and I and Sienna, and we're like, oh, it's just us now. It's just that realization of like, whatever we do is there's no one here to really hold our hand and sort of help us through. So and I think every parent probably feels that, and it changes from each stage into sort of that worry of like, oh, what's this thing on, and being able to trust them and to hope that you've given them all the tools they need, but they're growing up and they're learning things as well, and the emotions and all those things come into it as they go through all those stages. So it is, yeah, it's weird. It's and you can't. You want to, as a parent, you want to protect them and you want to be there and you want to help them out. I remember when Sienna was quite young, she didn't get invited to a party, and she's like, can you ring them, Dad? I was like, no, I can't really ring them. Those lessons along the way, you just want to ring them, but you're like, I can't be that person. Geez, I was crying. Geez, you got me crying, Dan. Yeah, so those things as a parent, you can't protect them all the way through, but you can do as much as you can, but you can't, and so it's those sort of moments along the way that you want to be there, and you want to go, oh, I want you to go to this party because all your friends are, but it doesn't, you can't do it all.
There's some real hard stuff there where you've got the tension of kind of giving them their wings and helping them grow and develop and kind of handle big disappointments, but it breaks your heart. Yeah. At the same time, you just do want to ring or email or create your own home party or something.
True.
That
you
just
want to be
fills
that parent
the gap.
that does that. I mean, she is very, very sociable, and she does kind of roll with a lot. I do remember another time we took her to a party, and for some reason she thought it was a zombie party. And she was like, let's go to the zombie party. It's a thing. So we like ripped this princess dress she had and put her hair all, out there and put some makeup on. So she looked a mess. She looked like a huge night out in town or something. And then we turned up there and no one was dressed up. It wasn't a zombie party at all. And I remember this is Sienna's personality, looking at Sienna, and she must have been about 6 or 7. I was like, do you want to go home and get changed? She's like, no, I'm fine. And went in there and, left her there for a couple of hours with the thing. And she was like, yeah, she's great. She had a great time, So she kind of just rolled with that, which I was very pleased to see as well.
That's amazing. So good. I love, like what you're talking on, like with little kids and they come in with their fingers and it's like they push, and prod and they find areas that, like you're saying, that you haven't healed I was amazed. Someone so little, I think my boy was like 2 or 3 and he could make me feel so angry. I'm like rage at times. I'm like, how are you making me feel like these big emotions? Has there been any surprises for you as a parent like that?
I mean, every stage you kind of learn and you go through all those things, and I guess a surprise, as you're saying before, you look at yourself and all those things, the reflections on what you do and the way you parent, and things will change as they go. So I guess probably what I was as 10 years ago, what I am now, it's probably changed, and that's probably surprised me in some regards. You kind of, you're more across this one thing than you might have been 10 years ago, or you're less on. I guess just as you go, no real big examples, but just as you go, you kind of subtly work out what changes from one, I guess from child to child, and also how you parent as they get to those new stages, those scary stages like teenage years that yeah.
I love something that we always ask our guests is, where do you find the mess in your parenting journey and in life, and where do you find the magic? So like for me, putting my kids to sleep at night and having those cuddles and reading that book, that for me is magic. Like the day can have been like chaos, but that is just these moments.
Oh, that's cool.
For you, where do you find the mess and the magic?
It's a really good question. I think something I've really learned is finding almost the magic in the mess, or the thing that you didn't think it was going to be. We had, after lockdown, we hadn't been, obviously with Auckland had all those lockdowns and families, which was great, really great. Again, you found magic in those family times, and that was a really bonding time for us, even though we couldn't, you couldn't go out and you couldn't go. So it was finding that sort of magic in when things were a mess, and we really got together making, you couldn't go out to a restaurant, so you make your own family restaurant, or couldn't go to the movies, so you made your own family. And that was a real good lesson. And, and particularly with the kids, when we did get out of lockdown, I think we went to Queenstown for a holiday, and we hadn't been for probably a year or 2 years, and it was awesome. And we were like, well, we get to go away. And I was like, again, activities guy. I was like, all right, we're gonna do this, and we're gonna go zip lining. We're going on the luge or whatever it was, because we hadn't been anywhere for a while. And I remember saying to my daughter Sienna and Indy, it must have been a couple of nights before we were leaving, I was like, what's been your favourite thing so far? And Sienna was like, oh, I love the zip lining. That's cool. Oh, that's good. I love that too. And I said to Indy, and she said, oh, when we sat on the beach and we fed the ducks, and that was a really cool little realisation that we bought a 50-cent thing that you had to feed the ducks with, and that was her favourite thing, because the ducks ate out of her hand. And I was like, oh, that just was a real realisation of what they enjoy and what they're into, and it didn't need to cost anything. It just was time with us, and time was something different. And that was I wish she'd told me that before I'd booked the luge and all those other things as well.
It's such a good question to ask your kids, because we tend to think that the items that are going to cost more money will be the thing that they love. So we will encourage parents to even ask their kids every now and then, what do you most enjoy about being in this family?
Oh, that's a really good
just
question.
sort of sitting back and thinking, oh, it's not that I've wallpapered your room, or it might be that you take them to school in the morning and you have a chat. So it's good to get the insights from your kids.
Hopefully they want to be in your family, I guess is probably the thing. I'm like, I don't want to too many home truths in that one.
I always think about too, like, who's your community? So you've talked a bit about your parents. I mean, who kind of helps you come alongside? I mean, me and my nana, like, she's one of my best friends, and I love the conversations. Like, there's never any judgment. I go to her with everything.
That's cool.
Who have you got around your girls, and that sort of helps you so you can go have dates with your wife, and that helps around the home? And
we're very lucky to have my wife's mum, Joyce. She's awesome. She lives in Auckland, where not far from us. So she helps out in the mornings as well, because I'm I work radio in the mornings, used to work the afternoons. So now I get the fun part of the day where hopefully most days I can get to pick them up. So I get the fun. I don't have to worry about the morning rush and getting you, put your shoes on and put your hair on. Although, to be fair, my kids are actually pretty organised in that regard. So, but she comes over still at the moment, because she loves being part of it too, which in the mornings and helping out as well, because they're going to different schools and different buses and things like that. So we're very, very lucky to have that part, to have her in our lives and to help out with that. But yeah, so we definitely have friends and stuff as well you talk about. But I think it's a conversation, particularly for guys, you could probably have a lot more about parenting and stuff, because like you all want to do the best job, but maybe it's not the thing that you talk about when you get together, and maybe it's something that you can have a lot more.
And with your dad friends, Ben, what's some sort of wisdom that would you share anything with them about if they were just starting out on their parenting journey? What would you tell them?
Oh, it's said before, it's a cliche, and everyone says it goes fast, and every stage is cool though, and that's what I've loved, is every stage you get to that different stage as they go, and that's pretty cool, and trying to enjoy those stages. You even look back at photos and it makes you kind of emotional. You're like, oh, that's when they were this little, or they did this thing, and that's cool. I mean, I'm at the stage now where they're outsmarting me on a regular basis, my kids. That'll happen eventually as well, like the iPad thing in the hallway. That's definitely one. Or Sienna, we were like a few weeks ago, I was like, oh, maybe because Indy's such a good reader, I was like, maybe we can get you reading. She's like, I've read heaps today. And you're like, oh, really? What have you read? She's like, oh, I had the subtitles on Netflix. I read 2 shows. You're like, well, I don't know if that's actually it. But yeah, but you learn that. You learn those things along the way. And even myself, who I learned recently that I'm, you get that stage where you're like, oh, I thought I was not cool, because I don't think I've ever been cool, but I could pull off a bucket hat, or I could wear this thing, and now I look at myself and I'm like, oh geez, I'm even saying I can't wear it out of the house. Not even my kids were saying it to me. You get to those stages where you're like, oh, I'm a dad now. Here I am. I'm a dad, but it's cool. It's kind of the best thing that's happened to me, as the family, and you just want to not screw it up, I guess.
I like to, where you're talking about how it's this ongoing conversation and we don't always get it right, and we've got another day tomorrow to try and to do it better or to change things up. And even I think saying sorry, like we get things wrong. And I know, like when I was growing up, saying sorry wasn't really the thing to do to kids. I made a mistake, I'm sorry. But I love that that's actually becoming more of a thing now, of actually owning it.
I think so as well too. I've sort of tried to do this a bit more, and I think it works. Is just kind of, if I am thinking about something, I try not to think about work, or if something's worrying me, I will often front foot it with the kids and go, oh, sorry, I'm just thinking about this thing, or I'm trying to do this, or I'm, just so they know that life is not always, you want their life to be fun and to be, but it's not, it's to show that you do have ups and downs. I think in the past, my parents probably as well would probably want to, they separated when I was 11, and that was a huge moment in my life. But I guess for a lot of it, maybe they were having issues and stuff. They try to protect you from that. So it came as a bit of a like, what? I didn't, see this one coming in. You're a kid. You're probably oblivious as well. But it's probably to know that you can have days where you're up, and you can have days where you're down as well. And the kids know that. Oh, that's okay. I think it's kind of helps to make you kind of go, oh, Dad's actually okay. I get it. So same as you. And when they have the same things, it's like, okay, I get it. It's all right. It kind of normalizes that conversation. Yeah,
because kids will observe stuff, but they won't always interpret it well. So when you scaffold it like that, you're kind of filling in the missing pieces, and they don't have to invent what's going on. And I think it actually makes them feel really safe.
There you go. Hey, well, thank you so much for hanging out.
Thank you for having me.
For having a few tears. I don't know. I was trying to look. Were they real tears?
Oh, no, I felt myself getting emotional there as well. Every now and again you do that, particularly as a parent. You go, Pixar movies, that's the other one as well. Every Pixar animated movie, I find myself at the end, it's always about some heartfelt story about parents and this. And you're like, oh, geez. Like the other day, my kids are looking at you like, are you crying at this thing? I'm like, yeah, I'm crying, all right.
Have you seen Coco? I watched that last weekend and I bawled.
All of them, they get me all the time, those movies. So I'm the one crying. I'm the dad crying in those. Just sit here in the movies for a bit longer, guys, before the lights get on.
One of the things that Ben was talking about was how he gets distracted, like all parents do, with his kids, and how he's really good at explaining why he might not have been there for them. And it made me think about how important it is for us to explain things to kids so that they get an understanding of what's going on, but also how sometimes we really need to say sorry to our kids. And I think sometimes we get the sorry half right. It's a really lovely thing to do, not something to do all the time. You want your kids to have a sense of, you've got some clues about what you're doing. But that sense of, I'm sorry for shouting, full stop. Often we'll do, I'm sorry for shouting, but if you had just done what I asked you, I wouldn't have needed to. And unfortunately, when we do that, we actually miss the beauty of a sorry, which really connects to a child. And they, in turn, are learning what sorry is all about and how to do a sorry themselves.
Gosh, I think we do that with all our relationships, not just with kids, with our partner or mainly with our partner probably, but okay, sorry, and then zip it.
Yeah, a big zip it.
That's good. Actually, when Ben was talking about that and that being distracted, I've been wrestling with whether to up my daughter's days at kindy. She goes 2, and whether I should do 3. And at that point, when he said about being distracted, I thought, you know what? If I up her to 3, then I can actually make sure that I get all my work done when she's at kindy, and then when I'm at home and it's me and her and we only have 2 days together, I can be more present. So I actually felt like I got to make some good life decisions while he was sharing. So thanks for the wisdom, Ben.
Yeah.
I love how Ben was talking about the simplicity of the magic and the mundane and what kids really remember and what they love and what treasured moments they have with us. Sometimes we think it's these big activities and, Ben's coming up with all these amazing, activities every day on holiday, but sometimes it's just the ice cream, at the end of the day.
It's very much the simple things that kids will often bring up as the thing that they love the most. So it kind of reminds us to obviously do that when we can do the big things, but keep in mind, hold those things lightly because they might just enjoy just as much or even more the fact that you are sitting with them or reading them a story or walking to the dairy for an ice cream.
I remember my boy the other day, like we do family movies, but my mum, he had a sleepover at my mum's house and they did a movie in bed and that blew his mind. It's like, and they had dessert in bed.
Yeah.
And he was like, this was the best. And it's something we do all the time, but it was just done slightly different.
Yeah, and my husband was really good at doing lots of fun things with the kids when they were little. And, they did get the privilege of going to Disneyland, but one of the things they remembered was that he used to put them to bed in the wrong bed, the wrong place, sometimes at the top of the staircase, in the bath, no water, outside the front door, somewhere different, and there were peals of laughter, and it wasn't conducive to great sort of sleeping routine. But what did I hear them talking about to their friends? That more than some of the other things we did.
I love it. Well, that wraps up another episode of Parents We've Met. As always, thank you so much for tuning into this podcast project of ours. We are loving putting it together for you. Now, we are all about supporting parents on their parenting journey. So if you'd like access to more resources, head over to our website, parentingplace.nz. You can also find us on Instagram and Facebook. And if you're enjoying what we're doing here, we'd love if you could share it on social media or rate and review it on this app.
Rover. Music, radio, podcasts.